Hello, welcome back to Serving the Valley. I'm Roy Justice. And today, not any different than any other time we've been serving the Valley. This is an ongoing program, by the way, that we kind of center on nonprofit organizations in this area and those people who make it kind of great to be in this area. An example of that is what I just described. We're heading for the Hearst Cultural Center here in Cedar Falls. And to help us on this edition, their assignment actually for the next several minutes is to help educate Roy about the Hearst. Heather Skeens has joined us. Heather, welcome.
Good morning.
And Angie Hickok is here as well. Angie, thanks for joining us. Heather, by the way, she takes care of a lot of stuff, but cultural programs is the priority there, and Angie is the education coordinator. To say you folks have had your hands full lately would be to put it mildly. Cautioning our folks who are watching this at some time other than the exact time we're producing this, you know what I'm talking about. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that. But the schedule, the event schedule, and stuff that's been scheduled and then had to be rescheduled and then had to be maybe even moved till 2021. We'll cover some of that, but the best thing to do if you have any question about what we're talking about on the program is to get to their website, and we'll talk about that as well. Depending on when you happen to be seeing this, updates are on the Hearst Facebook page. And let's talk a little bit about, first of all, before the Hearst, let's talk about you folks and what brought you originally to the Hearst. Angie, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I grew up in Waterloo my whole life, and I went to UNI and majored in art history, and I always wanted to work in museums. I worked in a lot of area museums around here and with the kids, and programming and all that, so yeah.
That's what brought you.
Mm-hmm.
And how long ago was that?
3 years, just over 3 years ago.
Okay. And your excuse is?
Well, I was born and raised in the Des Moines area, so not too far from home, living here now. We've been in the area about 4 years, but I've been with the Hearst for almost 3. So very similar to Angie, I grew up going to museums, loved museums, knew I wanted to work in museums. I have a degree in art history as well. Oops, sorry about that. And just continued working through museums until I moved to Cedar Falls and was really excited to see a position open with the city and with the Hearst Center, and so now here I am.
And it was a natural.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the background of the Hearst. How did the Hearst get started here?
Well, I think a lot of your viewers will probably be familiar with Cedar Falls Arts Alive. It was a volunteer group, an arts advocacy group here in Cedar Falls, 70s and 80s. They were really active. They started looking for a home for a community art center in Cedar Falls, and this would have been in the 80s. James and MERYL Hearst lived on Searly Boulevard, and James Hearst, of course, a lot of people are familiar with him as a very well-known regional poet in the area. And James and MERYL decided to bequeath their home to the city, really as a catalyst to start a community art center. So it was fantastic. In the late 80s, the city then took ownership of the original house, renovated it with the help of Cedar Falls Arts Alive and lots of community members that made donations to make it happen. And now the building that we are in, the Hearst Center for the Arts, of course named after James Hearst, is the original home. So when you come in, it's really, it's homey, it's low ceilings, it still feels like a home a little bit, but there's a really large expansion to the south where we have galleries, a performing arts hall, several classrooms, and lots of extra space for programming. So the original house is really where kind of all of our offices are, and then the entryway. But it's fun to be in a home that has meaning for the community.
And as far as I alluded to this before, the schedule being all screwed up and so forth in this part of 2020. But let's look ahead and the positive aspect of what's going on at the Hearst and the various aspects of how the Hearst gets into the community, as well as bringing the community to what the Hearst is doing. I will be fully open to you. The closest I have been to the Hearst is on the bicycle trail behind it. I have not had when I go bike riding, you're not open. But that's no excuse for not being into the Hearst. So I'm anxious to find out what goes on inside the Hearst, the challenges that are facing Arts are never ending. If it's not funding, it's scheduling. If it's not scheduling, it's sometimes the weather. What is it that people want from the Hearst is what you're continually surveying and looking for.
Right.
So what is it that you offer?
Well, it's a big question, and we'll try and be concise.
Okay.
We do everything from, your traditional exhibitions of artwork, which of course are free. We are a free venue, so it's free. You can just come right in the front door and feel at home. There's no dress code or expectation, or we're open to everybody. But a lot of people come in simply to see exhibitions, and we do exhibitions of all varieties, all different types of media, paintings, drawings, sculpture, kind of your traditional fine arts. But we've also recently shown artworks by artists that work in augmented reality or digital media, illustration, some textile arts. We had a really wonderful show not too long ago by a Cedar Falls artist that works in textiles, beautiful show. So everything from craft to fine art to kind of the new digital arts on display in our galleries. We augment those offerings with lots of public programs. So you can come to the Hearst and hear live music, artist talks. You can hear readings from local authors. We do all kinds of public programming, some related to the exhibitions and others just things that the community are looking for. And then of course, and I'll let Angie talk about this, but a really wide variety of outreach in the community, so outside of our building with hands-on arts activities, and then of course all the education offerings, which I think Angie would be better
Angie,
at explaining.
pipe in there.
Okay. So yeah, we do things, we have programs that are all year long. We do messy mornings, that's for kind of our preschool age group, and that's 10 to 11 when we can, when we're not going through a pandemic. But and we offer adult classes, youth classes. We are starting, so a new thing we're doing is virtual camps. So every summer we always have summer camps, and this year we couldn't do that. So we wanted to still find a way for families to be able to still have art experiences. So yeah, we provide all the materials, the instructions and everything, and families can come pick it up and do all the activities at home. And then we also are having kind of interaction Zoom meetings with them, maybe with an artist or with one of our staff to do one of the activities with them.
Was that the camp home boxes
Yeah.
that you
Yes,
were offering?
yep,
Okay.
She makes it sound really easy, but a tremendous amount of work went into getting
I
those
bet.
out. You
Yeah.
know, it was last minute. We had to figure out how to take an entire summer camp season and turn it into something virtual that
And
kids
put
can
it in
do
a
at
box.
home. So, but they've been really, really popular. And if anybody's interested, you can go online and register for those just like you would for a class. But we also have some free boxes available at the Cedar Falls Public Library, so you can
Okay.
check those out. They're completely free. You don't have to bring them back, but it is a checkout process. And then we have scholarships available as well. So Angie and her team work to just make sure that everybody has access to those opportunities too.
Well, it's hard not to talk about what couldn't because of what's going on, but let's talk about what probably will. And that's looking all the way ahead to your calendar in 2021.
Yeah.
There's some things that are already on the books for then.
Well, we are continuing with a lot of our outdoor activities. So we have Party on the Patio. Every year we do that in the summer. So that's live music out in on the patio, the Corning patio at the Hearst Center. Our team is also working on a program called Artisans in the Garden. So we're bringing artists out to do kind of more craft style art making in the garden behind the Hearst Center.
Right.
We're really looking at transitioning some of our regular programs to online programs. So the things that we do all the time, the artist talks, some of the live music performances, Final Thursday Reader Series, those things are going to transition to be online, and then hopefully we'll be able to offer them in person again. So public programs is a little easier, but when it comes to visiting an art exhibition, you really want to come in person.
Sure.
So we will still offer, our in-person art exhibitions. We are also offering for the public, if they're more comfortable, coming when we're closed, and we're closed on Mondays they can call and make an appointment, and I'll open the galleries for them so they can see the galleries on a Monday when they're less likely to maybe run into as many people.
Okay.
So that's always an option too.
Sure.
And then Abby is working very hard on transitioning some of our in-person exhibitions to virtual exhibitions. So it's a balancing act for us right now, but
A lot of stuff going on in the background.
we're trying to really maintain an active schedule and still offer some of those things that we do annually that people, really like to come back to each year, whether it's programs or exhibitions or classes.
Where do the ideas come from what's to come?
It's really a collaboration. So of course the staff, we have our own interests and our own goals and what we want to present in our areas, but a lot of the public come to us too and say, I saw this really great exhibition and I think you should show work by this artist, or I'm really interested in an advanced wheel throwing class. Is that something you might offer next fall? And of course she's working with staff and with the public to make sure that we're offering things that people are interested in. And then, of course, we're always looking for new ideas from partner organizations, and that's really how we get a lot of things done, is by working with other community members.
Does the partner organization also fall over into the educational aspect of what you're doing in that regard?
Yes. Whether it's maybe like outreach programs, we've worked with the Gallagher Blue Dorm before. We work a lot with the library. We partnered and we did a card making workshop, so hopefully we can do more of that, and it was virtual. Yeah,
Western Home, we go out and do programs with Western Home, and of course we have a lot of the outreach at the community festivals, so Artapalooza, College Hill Arts Festival. Angie and her team are always out in Waterloo with Pride Fest and Irish Fest, and they're very busy when the weather's good. They're out a lot. So.
And when there isn't that other stuff that's
Right,
going
right,
on
right.
in
In
the
normal
neighborhood.
times,
Right.
yeah.
But we won't talk about that anymore.
Okay,
Right.
it's hard not to.
Couldn't do what you're doing unless you had people helping you volunteering. I've said this on previous programs. We usually leave this kind of thing toward the end, and then we rush to get it done before the bells go off. Where do you shop for your volunteers?
Everywhere. We have a really wide spectrum of volunteers, from high school students. Angie's had high school students in the classrooms. We have lots of college students that come through from the various universities and colleges kind of in the Cedar Valley area. They do everything from volunteering at receptions to helping with research projects, or helping with our artwork database, all kinds of options. We have a lot of families and adults and retirees that also help, and they do things like helping at receptions, but also more project-based volunteering. So if there's a community member who has an idea for something that they would like to see offered, sometimes we'll partner with them and they volunteer to help organize it. A great example of that was a pop-up quilt exhibition in our garden last year that was completely organized by a volunteer. And then our staff really was support to give her the resources she needed to organize this event, and it was fantastic. And I think that was a great partnership. So we have volunteers come in to judge our Poetry Out Loud competition. So, if you're interested in the literary arts or education, there's all types of opportunities.
What are the challenges that not only your cultural organization, but others in that network are facing, other than, well, we mentioned some before, there's always funding, and then help, volunteerism and so forth, but what are the biggest challenges you think you're facing right now, apart from that stuff that's going on?
Well, that's hard because, everything's focused on that right now. Excuse me. Funding is always a challenge for arts organizations. I think any arts organization would say funding, we need to fund the arts. And I'm not just speaking on like a local level, but on a national level, arts funding is always less than what we could use to really do the programming that we want to do. Volunteering, I think volunteering has, people are less likely to volunteer than they used to, and arts organizations really require a lot of volunteers to do the work, because generally we have smaller staffs. But I think there's a lot of really great things in our community that are happening. And I think the organizations that we have between the Hearst Center, the Gallagher Blue Dorn, the UNI Gallery of Art, the Waterloo Center for the Arts in this community I think we're doing a really good job with the resources we have. And I feel like we have a really good support system here too. So.
Okay. Who owns the Hearst?
The city owns the Hearst, and I think a lot of people would be
I
surprised.
know, that's why I brought it up, because I was surprised to hear that.
Yeah, so we are, it's not completely an anomaly, but it is less common that we are a fully funded municipal arts center, which is fantastic that this city has shown that they support and believe in the importance of arts experiences, especially free arts experiences for the community. So we are funded primarily through hotel motel tax and then property tax revenue from the city. And then we also rely a lot on our Friends organization. So I had mentioned previously Cedar Falls Arts Alive as, that organization morphed into Friends of the Hearst.
Okay.
And now we have Friends of the Hearst. They are a 501c3, so any donations to Friends, fully tax deductible. They are our membership organization. So if you want to support the Hearst Center, the best thing to do is to become a member. And all of that revenue goes right back into programming to help augment our budget. So.
Speaking of the Hearst, and that's what we've been doing, watch this.
I'm a friend.
I'm a friend.
I'm a friend.
I am a friend.
I'm a friend.
Friends of the Hearst support the programs and exhibitions at the Hearst Center, including youth art classes, live music, family programs, and exhibitions of local and nationally recognized artists.
I'm a friend. If you're a friend, ask a friend to be a friend.
I'm a friend of the Hearst Center for the Arts. Please become a friend today.
Well, on this edition of Serving the Valley, we're taking a tour, kind of the Hearst, but the invitation is open for you to do that. And now that we just mentioned that, your hours are not necessarily from noon to midnight, Sunday through Saturday.
No.
What are your hours?
So we are closed on Mondays, which is kind of just traditional for museums. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're open from 10 to 9 p.m. So we have late hours, so folks can come out after work. On Wednesdays and Fridays, it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then on the weekends, we're open from 1 to 4. And again, we're doing by appointment exhibition viewing on Mondays if people would like to come while we're closed.
Okay. So in this educational pursuit, I would think if you kind of hook the kids into what's going on at the Hearst, chances are parents may come and see what's going on at the Hearst as well. So how are you hooking the kids? Give me some ideas, Angie, on what your educational programs are doing.
So, yeah, we offer, like I said, youth and adult and family workshops. So we've done where families can come in and do a ceramic workshop. We did garden buddies, where the families can hand build little creatures, and then we fire them, and they'll get to paint them or we'll glaze them, and they can take them home and put them in their garden. And then we've done, we do a wide variety. We've done bath bomb classes with like oils and lotions and that type of thing. They'll make all that, make their own makeup. We've done intro to country guitar class. We do, and then we also do like traditional painting and drawing and figure drawing too.
Do you remember any of these classes that you took in that regard?
That I took when?
Well, how far back do you want to go?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I was a kid, of course. I mean, I remember the first coil pot that I made, and I gave it to my dad, and it's still in his bathroom.
No kidding.
I don't know what he's using. I've seen it in there, though. And so I just remember my high school art teacher so well and how important that relationship was, And then in college, of course, I took fine arts. I took studio classes and art history classes, and the making really helped me understand what I was looking at then in a museum, because I had had the opportunity to paint something or, hand build something out of ceramics. So then when you see something that an artist has done that's very impressive, you have even more admiration for it because you know how difficult it is to do.
Right.
But yeah, those those experiences when you're a kid in the arts, whether it's music or literary arts or the fine arts and visual arts, are so important. Even with messy mornings, like Angie was talking about, these are little kids.
Sure.
But they're learning dexterity. It's the arts help kids learn how to manipulate things with their hands, whether they're painting or building something. When kids get into the upper level high school age, we know that kids that are active in the arts, high school students that are active in the arts, do better on standardized tests. They are less likely to drop out of high school. And as adults, I think the arts are really just important for social connections. Gosh, and I know we aren't talking about the pandemic, but I think people feel really isolated right now, and the arts are a great way to feel connected again with people. And then as people age, getting into older years, keeping active in the arts is proven to increase longevity. So from the beginning to the end, having an active arts environment in your community is really important so that we can have those engagements all through life.
At one end of Searly,
Yes.
let's say the Hearst, at the other end of Searly is that very important institution that we're all very proud of. How much collaboration goes on along Searly Boulevard? What's the connection to campus?
A lot. I wish more with the students. It'd be great if they would walk down a little bit.
Sure.
It's not very far, but we work with a lot of university faculty. They pop into the classroom with art education, so a lot of them are Zooming right now to help with the online art education. We do Final Thursday Reader Series as a collaboration with the university. We do lunchtime concerts on Fridays through the school year with the School of Music, so you can come, bring your lunch, hear a live concert. It's completely free by students and faculty from the School of Music. With exhibitions, we work with faculty all the time on exhibitions, so they help bring some of their expertise to the table. We did some really fantastic shows last year with 3 or 4 different university faculty over the course of the year. So there's a lot of collaboration. We're really glad to have that institution here for sure.
I would imagine with that stuff going on, the keyboard as to website is getting a workout.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Abby manages our website and our social media, and she said that our analytics are really through the roof right now because everybody's trying to figure out, first of all, what's going on, and then any changes to our schedule. So people can go to thehearst.org. That's the best spot to know if what's coming up and if there's cancellations or changes, as it's updated every day multiple times. And then Abby keeps a very active Facebook and Instagram page as well, where you can, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can check those as well.
We're coming down to the final minute here. Is there something you thought before you parked and came in the building here that I wonder what Roy's going to ask me, and I haven't asked you that yet? What would that be? Have we covered it all?
Though I think the one thing I haven't spoken about that I know a lot of people love about this community is our public art collection.
Let's talk about the public art
Yeah,
collection.
and I don't want to leave them out. It's such a major part of what we do. I know when I first came to Cedar Falls, I drove down Main Street. We were considering moving here, and I saw all of the public art and the big library, and I thought, well, this is a community that values arts and culture.
Good point.
It was obvious. So the Public Art Committee is very busy. They're working on a couple projects right now, so we'll see a couple new sculptures popping up over the next year, and then hopefully we'll see maybe some murals or some other things happening, so keep an eye out for that. But right now, if you're looking for something to do outside, hit the bike trail and hit Main Street, and there's plenty of information online. If you'd like a map, we have a route you can do, so check out thehearst.org and go see that collection.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Heather and Angie have been nice enough to spend a little time here with our adventure into the Hearst, or a few insights on the Hearst Center for the Arts, on Searly, and actually lots of times all over town. Thank you both for sharing. And thank you for being with us as well as we offer another edition of Serving the Valley. And that's what I'm all about. I'm Roy Justice. Thank you.